What is up, guys, and welcome back to our Boston Bruins franchise mode series. If I sound enthusiastic, I am not. I was not happy with our playoff result against the Montreal Canadiens. Son of a bitch. We played like shit at home. As you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, we lost in 7 games. If you missed it, go back and watch it. It is a doozy, and as soon as I saw that game-winning goal in Game 7, there was a solid 15 seconds of silence as I pondered my existence. I may sound dramatic, maybe sounding dramatic, but I hate the Canadians, especially in this franchise mode, because they stole Kevin Shattenkirk from us, and they've been using him against us. My goodness. So, and we lost to them last season in the second round of the playoffs. This series was much closer than that one, but it didn't help. That did not ease the pain whatsoever that we competed more this season, because we still didn't get the result. In the end, they still beat us. So the home team won exactly 0 games in that playoff series. As Murray Funk, my God, what a name on that guy. He might be somebody we target if we have a pick that low. I don't think we do, but who knows. But I forgot what I was saying. That's okay. I know all I remember is I was talking shit about the Canadians and how there's another Krejci right there. He's listed as a top 10 guy. But so whatever. We're getting into the NHL draft here. I was just looking to see what was available. We have the 23rd overall pick. And the only thing that really catches my eye out of the top end of this first round is the fact that there is a goalie projected to go in the top 5. Joey Del Monte. I don't fucking know. The American, he's 18 years old, so he's an EA created player. So a low AHL starter, medium backup, high fringe, so he might be. And the thing about having a goalie this high in the draft is he could easily be something like a medium starter, which we definitely do not want to spend and trade up to get him in the top 5 of the draft. But at the same time, he could be something crazy like a medium franchise. I had a draft. I was messing around in franchise mode, and I had a draft where I saw that I saw 2 medium franchise goaltenders go in the top 5, as well as a high elite defenseman. And unfortunately, I did not have a top 5 pick in that draft. So, oh well. Moving on from that, the only thing I might want to do is trade up just a little bit, just to make sure. But probably not actually, because a guy like Fata right here, Jared Fata, he's somebody we could target, and to a lesser extent Ralph Danner, but probably not. He's probably medium top 9 power forward, and I'm not too interested in power forwards in franchise mode at all, just because I don't like the way that they develop. They end up with weird stats, and their overall is based heavily on their physical category. And I'm not sure how well it does in the sim. I know that your defensive category is pretty important, and so are things like your offensive awareness and your passing and your shot. So usually power forwards have a good shot, but they'll have a low offensive awareness or a low defensive category. And I just don't trust them to be, unless they have like insane offensive stats, you could throw them. So DeMonte was a high starter. Unless they have like insane offensive stats, you can throw them on the first line. I don't really see them as 4th line guys, just because their defense is so bad, and you don't want your 4th line letting in goals. So the top end of this draft was pretty bad. So looking at the top 10, there's a high top 9 went first overall, Nolan Foote to the Rangers. There's only one medium elite guy, and he went to the Senators. So I'm going to take a look at these guys. So the Rangers, they got the first overall pick, and they picked Nolan Foote. So yeah, They went from the first overall pick in the draft, which is about 4/5 of the trade value bar, I think, and they got Nolan Foote, who was about 2/5 or so. So a really depreciating asset there for the Rangers. And so there's Shabbat, who we traded him away for Mats Zuccarello. And the Senators got a medium elite guy with the 3rd overall pick. And that ended up being, oh, holy shit, Nicolishin. Shitty trade value, especially for the 3rd overall pick. But he's 18, or no. He's 80 overall at age 19. Look at his offensive stats. My God, I might try to trade for Vitaly Nicolishin. Nicolishin? I could be placing emphasis on the wrong syllables and the wrong letters. I typically do that with Russian-sounding names, but if we end up trading for this guy, I might look up how to pronounce that name. So he's a guy to look for just because his offensive stats are insane. And the Kings got a high starter goalie, probably the backup, or the long-term replacement for Jonathan Quick. And then a bunch, so 5 medium top 6 forwards went in the top 10, as well as a medium top 6 defenseman, and another high top 9 guy to the Wild. So the top end of this draft was pretty bad. I'm glad we did not have a pick there, as it would have likely been pretty wasteful. Whoa, a low elite guy went to the Oilers. So let's take a look at who we could possibly select here. Keeping in mind that if we don't want this pick, I will probably try to trade it to the Senators in a package to get Nicolishin, whomever. And we would also be looking to move out some wingers as well as a part of that deal, just to make room for him on the roster. So it looks like we would be getting top 9 guys, and if I made the selection, it would probably be for the right wing American sniper. That's a pretty good movie if you haven't seen it, Murray Funk. But I don't think I'll be doing that. Here we got Yuri Yashkin, a Russian goaltender, a high AHL starter, so he might be like a high backup potential. And that is not something I'm interested in the slightest. So I'm going to go see if we can get Nicolishin from the Ottawa Senators, because I am not a fan of our pick right now. So Nicolishin, and if you guys know how to pronounce his name and I'm pronouncing it wrong, you're probably cringing at how many times I've said it in the past couple of minutes and how many times it has been wrong. So do they want our first? That would be huge, and they do. So they are interested in our first round picks. We only need to add a little bit of trade value to probably see this trade go through. As I just looked down at my computer and the record button was slightly dulled from its normal state, and I thought I was not recording on this video. Clearly I am, because you're hearing this right now, but it was only because I had selected something else on the screen that wasn't the capture card software, so that scared the absolute shit out of me. Brodin, unfortunately, is way down here at an 86 overall, so that trade is not looking the best right now, especially since Vlasic, we signed Vlasic in that same offseason. But if we're going to be picking up a NHL-ready winger, we probably need to trade away an NHL-ready winger. And I don't know if I have the cap space for Zuccarello, but we cannot trade him because it's the last year of his deal. It is expiring, but maybe we can look to trade a guy like Boucher and try to get more back from the Sens. Or, yeah. I've made quite a few trades so far in this franchise mode series, and some of them look pretty bad by now. Hosang has been pretty good for us, and Zaka is looking better and better each season. He's up to an 86 overall. But guys like Lindholm and Boucher, I probably ruined any chance they had of a good NHL career because I could not give them top line minutes, and they did not perform on the bottom line or the lower lines. I'm going to call a timeout here as we try to hammer out a deal with the Sens. So I might look to get rid of one of those guys, unfortunately, and move on from them. But That's not what I wanted. I wanted to go to offer trade. No, I did not want to simulate my pick. That would be an absolute disaster. Go to the Senators and look up Nikolition. TikTok game, TikTok. NHL 17 menu simulator has really slow menus, and that is not a good thing. Alright, so looking at these guys, looking at their overalls. I'm not talking about the denim fashion wear that farmers prefer. I'm talking about their ratings in the game. So Zaka we probably want to keep around. Looks like he's still developing as each season goes up a couple overall points. And if we can reach that 87 or 88 status, his trade value might be up here with some of these guys. Then we can trade him then. Being a power forward, I'm not super keen on his attributes, and that is showing up somewhat in his stats. He did have his best NHL season with 47 points, but still, as an 86, looking at some of his offensive stats, they're not great, and his defense is not great either. So I'm not 100% sure yet. Take a peek at defensemen, see if there's anything we can trade here. Don't want to trade any of these younger prospects. So. Oh man. Oh man, I really do not know what to try to package in this deal. I'm not moving out DJ Jerome. I do not care. I will let him rot in our AHL squad before I get rid of him. Just because his first name is spelled so funny. Just because of that. So, Reed Boucher, I guess. So I guess I'm trying to decide between Boucher and Lindholm. And Lindholm has the higher cap hit. But he is younger with a better overall, and his morale is a little bit lower. So if we could improve his morale a little bit, he might gain a couple overall points just based on that. And so let's look at their stats from last season. 47 points for Lindholm, and he did not show up whatsoever in the playoffs. Boucher had 56 points, but I'm not sure how many of those were with Vancouver. And he only had 1 point in the playoffs, so neither of them really showed up. We'll just look to move out Reed Boucher. I'm still holding out hope for Lindholm. And another reason in making that decision is Boucher is a left winger, whereas Lindholm's a right, and the guy we're bringing in, Nikolition, is also a left winger. So we're making room for him there. We'll add in this first round pick and see if we can grab anything back from Ottawa before we try to see if this trade can go through. So let's see what they have on their squad. Is there anybody that can help us win now? Because we're still sort of in that win now mentality. And going through what they have, I don't see any sort of need for a defenseman. Because our younger guys are growing and getting better, and they'll probably fill up our NHL roster next season, in addition to Vlasic. Maybe a guy like All. I believe it's Philip. Philip All. Yeah, Philip All. 89 offensive awareness. Holy shit. That's insane, but he doesn't have good passing or a good shot, so I don't know where he's going to be scoring points from. But 57 points in the AHL last season. That's pretty damn good. Another left winger, unfortunately, but he's easily the best prospect that we can reasonably shoot for to add in this trade, and that's going to be not enough. So the question here is if we want to try to throw in our second round pick into this deal to get it to go through, and I'm not sure if we do or not. And I've traded away all of our third round picks. I have to go to 2021 to get another third round pick. Don't think I'm too keen on doing that. But I might throw in a guy down here on this prospect list, or on this trade value list that is lower. Maybe like Grizzlick. And Grizzlick and Bleed are the only two guys that can go back. Taking a look at our defensive core. Next season we'll have Vlasic, Krug, Brodin, Carlo, McAvoy, and then one of Fleury or Liljegren. So we do not really have a need for a guy like Matt Grzelcyk. He probably would not cut it for us, so we'll see if that can go through, and it does not. The value you're sending our way isn't sufficient at all. So do we want to add more, or do we want to try to shoot for less than Philip All? Another left winger wouldn't really help us out that much, so I am fine for moving on from Philip All. We'll just see if they have any goalie prospects. Probably nothing that we could nothing we could shoot for. And they are hurting for goalies, actually. My goodness. All right, try to get another draft pick from them. We'll shoot for we'll shoot for their third, and then if that doesn't go through, we'll go for the Stars third. Nope. So we'll go for the Dallas Stars third round pick, and see if we can add a couple of lesser picks in there, just to see if that'll go through. No. Okay, so maybe the Stars third. No. Will this go through straight up? No. Boucher in first is not enough for Nikolitin. So we will add in a couple of these later round picks because I don't need them. To be honest, I do not need them. The value you have is too far off. Am I giving up too much for Nikolitin is the question. He has medium elite potential. He is medium elite potential. I gotta remind myself of that as we're making this trade. Boucher. We can't trade O'Gara because he only has 1 year left on his deal, and that's expiring. And no one wants an expiring deal. 17 minutes into this video, and I have done nothing. I apologize for that. But I am trying to show you guys a little bit of behind the scenes. I mean, if I were to just skip ahead and make this trade, Jesus, that's not enough either, as this is getting tight now. Just 1 second as we try to hammer this out. You know what? I'll just throw in that third a couple of years down the road, see if they'll take that. I hope they do. Okay, we cannot make this trade go through. I'm gonna use another timeout here. Jesus. All right. Am I giving too much for giving up too much for Nikolitin? The trading in this game, I feel like if you put the trading on medium difficulty, it's way too easy. But if you put it on hard, some trades are impossible to get to go through, like this, like us trying to get Nikolitin right now. So as I was saying before, I had to focus really hard for a minute. Shit, I forgot. I think I was talking about giving up too much for Nikolitin, maybe? Fuck, I don't remember. So do we want to trade Zacha instead? We cannot, because he's expiring anyways, so. Zacha will be back. Marchand. Maybe we can throw together a couple of prospects. Gabriel is probably never going to make this squad, just due to our young depth already. So we can try to throw him to Ottawa in this deal. And Senyshyn is pretty much in the same boat. Unfortunately, Ottawa does not want either of these players. So yeah. I'm not trading DJ Jerome. Quit asking me, game. Quit asking me. Alright. So we still have 4 minutes left to make this deal go through before I'd have to call another timeout. And I feel like at that point, they would have more than 45 skaters. So let's see if they have anybody cheap that they're trading. They do not. Yeah. Alright. Anybody who can take on with what's on the last year of their deal. I don't really care who it is. Fuck. I was gonna say something again. I'm just losing my mind right now. Semin is still kicking it in the league at 35. Alright. Pretty good offensive stats still for Alex Semin, but he's gonna have too high of a cap hit to be able to take back. We'll just try to get our comps here. Just because he still has a little bit of potential left. That will not go through either. We're going to throw in that goaltending prospect that we drafted in year 1, Lamb. So we saw that Ottawa was hurting for goaltenders, and Lamb would automatically be the guy with the most trade value on their roster. So will that go through? No, it will not. We're not interested in what you're sending us. So we will, man, this trade, dude. This trade, well, I'm not gonna say probably. I am giving up way too much for Nicolishin, but I've set my mind to it that I want him. So I'm going over the edge here. You know what? You know what? We're gonna trade away our second round pick next season. We're gonna throw that in this deal. We are doing it. So the hope is that second round pick next season will be like pick 60, and that goes through. So I give up too much for Nicolishin, but that is fine. Reed Boucher, alongside Gabrielle and Lamb, our goaltending prospect, and our first and second round picks for this season. Those all went bye-bye in return for Nicolishin. So one more look at what we got back in that trade before we make our next pick. So taking a look at Nicolishin here, let's go find him. Here he is. He slots in beside Timothy Liljegren in terms of trade value. The thing is, he's already 80 overall at age 19. Look at his offensive stats. Offensive awareness 85, passing 87, and his wrist shot is mid to high 80s with a 4.5 star skating. The only thing he's missing out on is that defensive category. It's not terrible. It is only 2 stars, but defensive awareness of 77 is close enough to being not awful. That we can take a risk on him. Maybe put him on the third line with a couple of more defensive-minded guys, or maybe put him on like the fourth line with guys that have pretty good defense to make up for it. But kind of an impulse buy there for Nicolishin. But he is a young stud. Did I not trade I'll trade my second round pick for next season. That's right. I still have the second round pick for this season. So I traded away quite a bit there for that guy. But like I said, I set my mind to it, and at that point it was pretty much done. I wanted him, and I got him. So I think I do that too often. And that's something that I would advise you guys against, is when you see a player that you really want to trade for and the team's being stingy about what they want in return, to be willing to walk away from that deal and be willing to just move on and go elsewhere. So the guy I'm looking at here is Willie Jaffray. So we just traded away a goaltending prospect, and it'd be nice to pick one up here. We do have a couple of young guys in our system for goaltending. We have those 77s. I believe it's Rusu and Vladar. However, we don't know if those guys are going to pan out, and we still need to try to keep an eye on a long-term Rask replacement. Rusu and Vladar are not going to be anything better than a backup, and they might not even make it to that stage, so it'd be nice to add a little bit of organizational depth here. And what I'm seeing from the other potential picks right now is nothing fantastic. Like, if this goaltender wasn't here, I'd probably take a shot with Graham Hartigan out of the DEL, but we have nothing on him, 0 times scouted, and he's listed as a low AHL bottom 6. So just who knows there. We're just going to pick Jaffray and see what he turns out to be. Medium French star. That's unfortunate because Punanov's here went to Calgary as a medium starter. So we kind of got not the best pick there, but what are you going to do? So we'll send the next round, see what we passed up on, as the Blackhawks have traded Duncan Keith to Tampa Bay, and Charlie Coyle has been traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we missed out on a high AHL top 6, medium 7th, medium bottom 6, medium top 9. Graham Hartigan was low top 9, and outside of that, nothing great. So I'm going to take a sip of water as this simulates to the next pick. Perfect timing, perfect timing. So we got the 4th pick in the 4th round of this draft. let's see what is out there, and it is pretty damn ugly. I don't even want to look at this player because I don't even want to pronounce his name, but I'll give it a fucking shot. Why not? Simeon or Simeon Der Argashintsev. So Simeon Der Argashintsev here. Pretty low looking attributes, and they're also yellow, so they could be even lower. And the thing about looking at guys in around this round is you got to think that these guys are probably never going to make it past a fourth line role if they even make it to your NHL squad. So you don't really want to draft like a sniper or a playmaker way down here. You want to look at guys like Yuri Vorbev or Yuri Vorbev from a country that I have no idea what that flag is. He's a grinder, or somebody like Isaacson as a power forward, even though I just talked shit about power forwards earlier. But the defensemen we really do not have scouted out very well. So let's just check out any exact guys. We got exact guys in the 5th and 6th round. Kelly Ragnarsson might not be a terrible pick with our next pick, if we even have one. You know what? I might just pick him now. He's an exact top 6 forward AHL. But if you look at some of his attributes that we have scattered out, he has a 76 passing, which is exact, and that's pretty damn good. So he might be a higher overall guy that we could take there with that pick. Yeah, so let's just see what other picks we have before I go with that guy. If we have a pick in the middle 5th round, he will still be there. Ragnarsson will. And also Ragnarsson is just a bomb-ass name. So we have the Kings 5th round. We have the Kings 5th round pick, and that should be early 5th round. Yeah, 3rd round, or the 3rd pick in the 5th round. So Ragnarsson, we will select next round, and so we can pick somebody else this round. Still have no idea who that might be though, as we have a shit ton of high AHL bottom 6 guys. Katic, 4th/5th round guy, super low overall. 2-way forward though, not bad. A bunch of snipers here, which is not what we want to see. So AHL top 4 defenseman. No, he looks terrible. Not the guy I meant to select. Jeez, so these guys. So when we get down here to the 4th round in this draft, it is ugly. It is ugly. So we're just gonna select. I don't know, man. I don't know who we're gonna select. I do not know. Probably just one of these playmakers. I might just. I'm sort of a glutton for punishment, so I might just select Der Argashintsev there. Der Argashintsev. Just for the purpose of struggling to say his name every time I see it. So we will be selecting Simeon Der Argashintsev. Welcome to the Boston Bruins. I would imagine that's a very tough name to put on a nameplate on the jersey. So we need to hire better equipment managers for this season. I need to write that down. Hopefully EA puts that in the game in NHL 18. You can hire equipment managers that help your team out. So we're just going to go ahead and pick Ragnarsson here. Not even going to look at what else is available, because I'm sold on Kalle Ragnarsson. Headed to the 6th round. I do not know what's going to be here, and I would imagine it's going to be pretty garbage. So in this video, I'm going to try to get to... No. This draft is taking forever. I'm going to take a peek at some of the re-sign phase and some of the guys we need to make a decision on, and then I will call it there. I would imagine with how many guys we have that need bigger and better contracts, that it's gonna take a little bit to do that. So I will end this video with showing you guys what we have and what they're asking for, but I will not get into re-signing them, because I imagine we might need to make a decision on some guys. God, this pick, man, when it gets down to these these later round picks where everyone's just equally awful. It is tough. It's tough to make a decision. We're just going to pick Joseph Garefa. I don't know why. I don't know. His stats were red there, so we didn't scout them very well, but they were in the 70s, so he can't be that terrible. And he has a picture, so he's real. Another little added plus for him. So our last pick of this draft, a bunch of Canadians left. A bunch of high AHL bottom 6. Do not want to look through that list, that's for sure. So we're just going to take a shot here on one of these two guys, probably. Timmins and Savvy. See if either of them turn out to be like low bottom 6 potential guys. We'll just pick this guy. He's 17. He'll have quite a few years to grow. He's medium AHL top 6. Alright. More water for me. Only made 5 picks, but we did trade for Nikolitin. So basically made 6 picks, I guess. So we'll go to the re-sign phase here. 15 players are about to become restricted free agents, including Charlie McAvoy and Dan Vladar. All right. So this is what we are looking at for our re-sign stage. So some of the best players we have on our team that need to be re-signed are Zuccarello and Zacha. Zuccarello is asking for 3 years, $4.7 million. I'm not super keen on giving him that, given he would end up being probably a third-line winger for us, and we don't want to pay a third-line winger that much money. Zacha wants a shit ton. He wants $7 million for 4 years. Holy shit! So we can sign him for 1 year at 5.39, and if we're gonna re-sign him, that's probably the number that I would be more keen to signing him to. But at the same time, if he's asking for $7 million, that's gonna go for quite a haul in RFA if anyone chooses to sign him, or we could qualify him and then trade him to another team. So that's the option I'm leaning towards in regards to Zacha. I've talked a couple times in this video about my disdain for power forwards, and he is a power forward. So Hosang here wants $3 million, or wants 3 years, 4.275. That's not awful. Carlo only wants 2.775. So Carlo will definitely be re-signed. McAvoy wants, whoa, holy shit. McAvoy, why don't you want more money, bud? So we don't really want to sign him 3 years at less than $2 million. Just because he probably won't grow that much. So we might look to sign him to 2 years or maybe even 1 year and crank up his number to like $2 million. Let's just look. Oh, excuse me, as my dinner is coming back in the form of burps. So yeah, Kyle Connor. Could we get him? Wow, we could get him on a 2-way deal. I'm definitely gonna do that. Hayden Fleury wants a 1-way deal, so I'll probably sign him for 1 year. Wow, you could get him for 8 years for 1.377, but he would not grow anymore for sure. So probably 1 year deal for him. Riley Nash we need to make a decision on. We can get him for about $1 million. O'Gara, he wants almost $2 million, and the thing about that is I don't even know if he's gonna have a spot on our NHL roster. So I'm not sure about him. DeBrusque has been seeing a little bit of growth. He's up to an 80. And he will go for a 2-way contract. Looking at his stats, he needs help in the defensive category for sure. Pretty damn good shot, though. Pretty damn good skating. Decent offensive awareness and passing. In the AHL, he put up 51 points last season, so not the best. He might need some more time in the AHL to work on his defensive stats. I would be willing to give him a shot in the NHL if we weren't so deep at left wing now. So when this series started, we were weak at left wing, and I think I overcorrected a little bit, and I traded for a bunch of left wingers, but that's okay. Better to have too many guys than not enough. So JFK wants a 1-way deal. We'll probably get him for 1 or 2 years, and I might crank that number up a little bit. DeBrusque only wants 1 year on a 2-way deal. Heinen, 2-way, that's fine with me. Morrow we might just let go, or we might sign to a 1-year minimum deal. Achari wants a 2-way contract, but he's done growing. He's done at a 78. I might leave him on the team to be a top 6 AHL defenseman. Arneson wants a 2-way. Same thing with Zarnik. Zarnik and Achari are done growing, but they're decently high overalls for the AHL. And if we're kind of weak in terms of top 6, we can keep them around to play with some of our prospects. And I'm going to go ahead and release Poltorowski. He was just a throw-in in a trade. And so yeah, there's the rest of those guys that are expiring. And then Nikolitin, obviously, who will be sending a contract to. Pretty damn good stats for a rookie, or for a guy that we just drafted. Savvy is a 47 overall. Jesus. So that's the guy we took a stab on in the 7th round. As a 17-year-old, 47 overall is pretty fucking bad. So there's my 4th round pick. Probably wasted it. Dur Argashintsev is only a 52 overall at age 18. Arguably probably about the same player as Savvy, who was our 7th round pick. So that's unfortunate. So it looks like Nikolitin is the only guy we'll be interested in signing from our unsigned pool. And looking at our goaltenders, we need to re-sign Cam Ward or let him go. He wants less than $1.5 million, so that's good. But he is 35, and there's a chance he could regress to something like an 80 or an 81. And we might have a better option in free agency. So if we do not have the cap space, which we probably won't, I will probably be letting him go. And we only have $10.5 million in terms of cap space, so a lot of these decisions are going to be very tough. And having most of these guys as RFAs is going to make it a lot easier, because we could send them a qualifying offer, and then we don't have to sign them immediately. So we could go into the free agency period and make trades to relieve ourselves of some cap. And I'm also going to look at the cap numbers we have on some of these players. See if you guys have any opinions on who we can get rid of for cap space. And some guys that I have my eye on are David Krejci here. He's got 2 years left, but he's already 33, and we already have Bergeron and Turris. So we can keep those 2 guys around to play our top 2 centers, and then free ourselves up of $7.25 million of cap space from Krejci. And then Krug at $5.25 million. Only 1 year left, and he's only an 86 overall. So one more time, looking at our defense, looking at our defensive core, we have Vlasic, Brodin, Carlo, and McAvoy as our top. That could easily be our top 4, especially if we see some growth from Carlo and McAvoy. And Brodin, not sure why he fell down to an 86, but that's okay. So maybe if he could get a little bit of morale improvement, or maybe some more natural growth, he could be back up to like an 88 or so. And that could easily be our top 4, and we could fill out the rest of our roster with Grzelcyk and Fleury and Liljegren. So Krug is a potential trade asset in the next video to relieve ourselves of some cap space. And outside of that, maybe looking at a guy like Elias Lindholm. I looked to potentially trade him for Nikolitin, but I went with I already forgot who I went with. Boucher. I went with Boucher instead. But Lindholm with $4.5 million in cap only has an 85 overall, so we'd probably be on like the 3rd line on our team, and we don't want to pay that much for a 3rd liner. So we could look to trade him elsewhere and get some more cap space there. And those are pretty much the only guys. We don't have anyone between an entry-level deal and $4 million. So, and we were looking to keep everyone else on the roster. So, let me know what you guys think about trading away Krejci, Krug, and Lindholm for cap space. And let me know what you guys think about who we should look to re-sign and what kind of contracts we should look to give them. Just a friendly reminder, I'm not interested in looking at doing the 85% rule in this series. I wanted a more realistic stem. realistic sim, I wanted to struggle a little bit, I could easily sign a number of those players, uh, or a number. I'll probably get an extra player in there if I went the 85% trick on all the guys. But I did not want to do that because it's not very realistic, and I'd be doing myself a disservice in making the sim much easier. So there's that. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share it with your friends. So in the next video, we'll be getting into the re-sign phase and free agency, and depending on how fast that goes, we will look at simming some in the next season, but that's not a guarantee. So tune in next time to see what we do with our re-sign phase and with free agency, and I'll see you guys next time.